A 31-year-old female with recent history of divorce comes to an emergency department with complaints of palpitations, chest pain, and sweating. She is terrified that she is going to have a heart attack. She has had multiple such episodes in the recent past. Her ECG has turned out to be normal every time. So you know that it is not something that is medically significant disorder. You know that it has some psychogenic origin because ECGs have come out normal. This is a 31-year-old female patient, generally less likely to have a myocardial infarction. Also, look at the other symptoms like palpitation, chest pain, and sweating. Also, history of divorce. It could be a stressor, it could be a precipitating factor for what is known as panic attacks or a panic disorder. Now, she is terrified of having a heart attack, which is again a sign of panic attacks, wherein there is a feeling of impending doom. Feeling of impending doom that I am going to die. Okay. So, most likely this lady looks to be in a state of panic attack. Now, important to differentiate between panic attack and panic disorder. If there is only one attack of anxiety, which is sudden, intense, lasts for around 10 to 15 minutes and falls off immediately, then it is panic attack. But to call it a panic disorder, there have to be two attacks of panic, and between the attacks there is anticipatory anxiety. The person constantly keeps feeling that he is again going to have or experience a panic attack. So that is anticipatory anxiety between two attacks of panic. This becomes a panic disorder. So what will you do in this patient? To resolve the panic attack in an emergency setting, we need to give orally benzodiazepines, which are generally melt in mouth or mouth dissolving preparations. So first and foremost, we will give benzodiazepines. So that is the answer. Okay. Number 8, a female was brought to psychiatric department after 3 weeks of delivery. She has complaints of fearfulness, irritability, and suicidal ideation. Her most likely diagnosis is it schizophrenia, postpartum blues, postpartum depression, or postpartum psychosis? So it is related to postpartum psychiatry, and we need to know that these symptoms are not enough to classify schizophrenia. Also, the duration criteria anywhere is it not mentioned, so it does not look like schizophrenia. It looks one of the three. Now, in postpartum blues, there is some sadness and irritability present, but there are no suicidal ideation present. Okay, so this is also not postpartum blues. In postpartum psychosis, there have to be some delusions present, and more than suicidal ideation, there is homicidal or infanticidal ideations. Okay, the female wants to kill her own infant because she feels that it is not her own infant. This can be the delusions. So in nowhere it has been mentioned about delusions. So the most likely option here looks like postpartum depression. Okay. Now, aversion therapy is used for. Is it used for depression, suicide prevention, erectile dysfunctions, or paraphilias? Aversion therapy is basically a form of behavior therapy wherein undesirable behavior is controlled. Undesirable behavior is controlled by pairing it with a painful stimuli. So what could it be used for? The answer is paraphilias. Paraphilias are sexual perversions. So a person who has sexual perversions, in these patients we can use aversion therapy, wherein whenever they have this urge of indulging into paraphilia, they will have a device, say suppose in their hand, which delivers minor electric currents. So by pairing this painful stimuli with their undesirable behavior, the response that is the paraphilias can be controlled. So this is aversion therapy and used for paraphilia. All are true for narcolepsy except associated with cataplexy. Yes, it is. Equal in males and females. Yes, it is. NREM disorder. No. Hypnagogic hallucinations are present. Yes, all are true except what is not true. So NREM disorder, it is an REM sleep disorder. Okay. What happens in narcolepsy? The REMs latency is decreased, REM latency is reduced. So even during waking states, suddenly there is REM sleep. And the feature of REM sleep is that there is muscle atonia, which is why the person suddenly falls, loses tone in muscles, which is known as cataplexy. Okay. Why does narcolepsy occur? Because of orexin or hypocretin deficiency. Coming to next question. Reversible dementia is seen in all except. Now, to remember the reversible dementia, there is a mnemonic which goes by dementia itself. Okay. If we look at it, let's see what is the mnemonic. Drug induced. It could be related to ethanol or alcohol. It could be related to metabolic factors. It could be endocrine. It could be eye or ear related. It could be normal pressure hydrocephalus. It could be nutritional cause. It could be trauma, tumors. It could be infections. So all these could be the reversible causes of dementia. What is not a reversible cause of dementia? The correct answer is Alzheimer's disease, because currently we do not have the treatment for Alzheimer's disease. We can only manage, can be managed, but cannot be treated. Okay. Let's move forward. Alcohol withdrawal presents with all except hallucinations, bradycardia, tremors, sweating. The correct answer is bradycardia, because alcohol withdrawal presents with autonomic hyperactivity. So therefore, there would be increased heart rate, not bradycardia. Alright. Now double depression is. What is double depression? Let us look at it. I am drawing a graph to explain the mood. Suppose this is the baseline where the person is neither happy nor sad. You can call it 0. This is positive mood. This is negative mood. So if a person has low mood for more than 2 years, then it is known as dysthymia. If during this low mood there is an episode which is severe enough to call it depression, so this is persisting for 2 years, and then there is an episode of very low mood which is enough to call it depression. So this is a threshold to be called as depression. Then this is known as double depression. That is dysthymia plus depression. Or you can say depression on top of dysthymia. That is known as double depression. So depression plus dysthymia. Don't get confused with other options. Depression for 2 years, that is not depression for 2 years, but low mood for 2 years if they ask, then it would be dysthymia. Okay. Then there is 2 episodes of depression. No, this is just to confuse you. Depression plus anxiety, just confusers. All of the following are Schneider's first rank symptoms except running commentary, primary delusion, thought insertion, delusion of guilt. You should know Schneiderian's first rank symptoms, very important for psychiatry. So Schneider gave 11 first rank symptoms, 3 related to thought insertion, withdrawal, and broadcast. Okay. 3 related to auditory hallucinations. That is first person, second person, and third person auditory hallucination. Now third person auditory hallucination is also known as running commentary. Third person, because here there are 2 or more voices which are giving commentary or describing the person in third person. The voices are like, see, he's going there. See, he's eating food. See, he's picking up the glass of water. So these voices are constantly commenting on him. Along with that, there are three made feelings, which are made feeling, made impulse, and made volition. Okay. Along with that, there are two specials, which is somatic passivity and delusional perception. Delusional perception. Now, delusional perception is one of the primary delusions. Why is it primary delusion? Because it occurs de novo. There is no existing psychopathological state on which this primary delusion arises. Okay, so delusional perception is an example of primary delusion. Now, what all are there? Running commentary can be there. Primary delusion, definitely there. Thought insertion can be there. Delusion of guilt. Now, specifically, Schneider does not mention which kind of delusion it is on the basis of content. Okay, it could be guilt, it could be anything. Okay, but it is not mentioned. So the correct answer here is delusion of guilt. Now, a child with IQ 92 and normal learning skills is poor in mathematics and gets poor marks in the subjects. He is likely suffering from ADHD, autism, exam phobia, specific learning disorder. Now, the child has a good IQ, is normal, the learning skills are normal. Definitely, the child is not suffering from intellectual disability. And here they have specifically said about only one subject, that is mathematics only. Okay, they have not mentioned about other subjects, which means we can assume that the child is average in other subjects. Now, if there is a learning deficit in only one area, for example, reading, writing, or mathematics, then that is known as specific learning disability or specific learning disorder. Specific learning disorder can only be called when the child does not have low IQ. Okay, so 92 IQ, that falls in the normal range. Also, the symptoms given in this are not sufficient whether to call it ADHD or autism, and definitely it is not exam phobia because it is for one particular subject and not for all the subjects as mentioned here. Okay. Now, next question. A patient has long-term history of waking up in the middle of night and thinking that his family is going to meet with an accident. Probable diagnosis is. Okay. Now, here the words that are important is long-term. Okay. And he's just waking up in the night and thinking. Now, nowhere has it been mentioned here that the thoughts are repetitive or intrusive, keep on coming again and again, and they are undesirable, unwanted by the person. So this rules out OCD. Also, to call adjustment disorder, they should specify any stressful event or a stressor that has happened, after which the person has had temporally associated sleep disturbances or thinking errors. Okay, so it cannot be adjustment disorder. Also, the conditions mentioned here in the clinical vignette are not sufficient to label it as a panic disorder. So most likely, it looks like generalized anxiety disorder, which is free-floating anxiety for more than 6 months. A 6-year-old child is seen to be playing alone, not interacting with other kids in his play, and not responding to name calling. Likely diagnosis could be. Now here, the child is seen to be playing alone. He is not interacting with other kids and not responding to name calling. This means that the symptoms are of autism. Okay, in autism, the child does not respond to name calling. There is deficits in social communication and social interaction. Not playing with peers. So this is definitely looking like a case of autism. This is not depression because even a patient of depression would respond to name calling. Okay. This is not a conduct disorder. Conduct disorder children would be very violent. Okay. This does not look like ADHD. There are no hyperactivity symptoms that have been mentioned here. So most likely it is autism. Next question. A 25-year-old man has presented to you with a history of increased sexual indulgence, increased consumption of alcohol, irritable behavior, and decreased sleep from 10 days. The family member stated that he has lost 2 lakh rupees in last 1 week on Dream 11 app. Probably he has wasted his money on some IPL team like RCB, but that's okay. The likely diagnosis could be. Now, here all the things that I mentioned in the options and the question are there to confuse you. Okay, consumption of alcohol, or this Dream 11 app, 2 lakh rupees. Actually, look at the holistic picture. The person is not sleeping properly, not sleeping. Increased sexual activity, which is increased in risk taking behavior, foolish investments that he's making, irritability is there. Okay, so these are symptoms which are suggestive more of a bipolar disorder mania rather than alcohol use disorder or a gambling disorder or impulse control disorder. Okay, so please understand, this is not, we are dealing with gambling disorder. Gambling disorder may be comorbid, but here, holistically looking at the picture, the examiner wants us to know and wants us to appreciate that this is a person suffering from bipolar mania. Okay. A patient walks into the OPD and the doctor thinks in his mind, oh, why is he here again? He then shouts at the patient for no good reason. This could be explained by transference, displacement, countertransference, projection. So here the correct answer is countertransference. Okay. Now transference is development of feelings by patient towards the doctor, and countertransference is feelings of doctor towards the patient. Okay, so this is an example of countertransference. Dash is not a mature defense mechanism. Suppression, humor, intellectualization, sublimation. Now to remember the mnemonic of mature defense mechanism, just remember Sahas. Okay, let us see. Suppression, altruism, humor, anticipation, and sublimation. So these are the mature defense mechanisms. So which one is not in the list? The answer is intellectualization. It's important to remember which are the mature defense mechanisms. All right. So last but super over. So true about sleep hygiene is. Now this is a question that is not only important from exam point of view, but for your own life as well. So dear students, if you are listening to this, if you are preparing for your NEET PG, please make sure to maintain a good sleep routine, a good sleep hygiene. Let us look at an MCQ. Do exercise before bedtime? No. Don't do exercises just before bedtime. Have some food just before sleeping? Again, it is not advised. Small naps in the day? It is not advised. Okay. Same time for waking up each day. That is the correct answer. So sleep hygiene involves waking up at the same time each day. Fixing a proper place for sleeping. Ensuring that the place is dark and cool enough to ensure that the sleep is natural and sleep comes easily. So these are some things which are necessary for sleep hygiene. I hope you enjoyed this T20 match. Thank you very much.